I'm Antonio Sando. I'm professor PhD at University from Suceava, Romania. This presentation is about social construction of Yogis identity and about bioethical and religious challenge in contemporary yoga, because as I presented in my early session, there was some transference from yoga practice to new religious movement, or to sports, or to movement for health, or for something. In my previous presentation, I present a case from European Court of Human Rights. The one of yoga practitioner was forcefully committed to a psychiatric hospital just for give up of her practice. And now I'm just trying to understand what is and how is construct the social and cultural identity of those persons that are involved in world yoga movement. That's a problem that is not very much discussed in bioethics, but the purpose of the paper is to highlight the process of social construction of yoga practice and of meditation, and to emphasize the ethical perspective of the transformation of the practice of yoga from spiritual practice into a movement of social construct connected to the medicalization of social life. And this medicalization of social life is due to distrust in our society's capacity to give health to the persons and the people assume that we live in a risk society and turn back to some traditional practice like yoga, like meditation, like Buddhism or Hindu practice or Chinese. And the present research aims to understand the changes the society is going through in the context of development of Indian spirituality and health practice, because some yoga movement is the yoga movement is divided between those who practice yoga just for health, just for sport, or just for spirituality, or to combine all of this. And to analyze the social construction element of contemporary yoga movement, to identify the social perception of the secular or spiritual practice of yoga. And the research was based on the qualitative analysis through grounded theory, method of observation with a group of yoga practitioners, and through interviews with these practitioners. And during the observation, an unstructured interview took place regarding the means of yoga practice and the spiritual experience of the practitioners, where this experience was described or was presented. Saturation of the theoretical model was achieved, and the sampling is not random, based on the snowball method. The ethical issue of the paper, the central element was how this how is construct the idea of spiritual practice of yoga, and this adrift from original Hindu or Buddhist or Chinese meaning of these practices to our nowadays Occidental practice in yoga. And the background was the social construction, its point of view, the social construction theory, and this social construction we apply this of the identity of yoga practitioners and how the society construct by projecting the idea of how yoga is. Yoga is a sport, yoga is a practice, a spirituality, a religion, a new spiritual movement, a new religion, and is projected by the other people. And research context, contemporary yoga practice in many yoga studios and yoga schools deviated from a traditional spiritual perspective of this practice that was inspired by Buddhism or Hinduism, being in some cases adapted to a secularized society, and this secularized the practice, but not in every case. However, there are other yoga schools that pursue spiritual goals, often being placed under the spectrum of new religious movement, as I already say. The topic of yoga practitioners and alternate therapeutical practice in general is rarely the subject of debate in the field of bioethics, although yoga with therapeutic purpose and the practice in general is a field known to a large percentage of the world. Now yoga is well known in the world, but not as spiritual practice only, not as meditative practice, but some between sport, between loisir and free time or something like this. And because they say they practice yoga or natural medicine or traditional medicine because they are afraid of the society we live in for. Research context, again, a bioethical perspective on the emergence of development of Oriental inspired practice will be present in parallel with the development of therapeutic yoga and the wellness purposes. The transformation of yoga into a form of sport or physical therapy, just physical therapy, could be discussed from a bioethical perspective. Is this transformation, this interpretative adrift, changed yoga into a new practice, is the same practice that was in the tradition, in the Hindu tradition, or is a new practice that is in fact created in the West, not derived from Hindu tradition. The theoretical approach that we discuss about social anxiety, and this can understand the process of social construction of the person identity being correlated with the cultural particularities of the social environment, and it's between individualism and collectivism. As an instance for the social construction of yoga practice, and of course of mindfulness, that it's correlated in general with yoga or with natural therapies and so on. We consider this in the context of the risk society. The people take into account that we live in a society that is many risks. The society has risk in all the time, much more than in the contemporary, but the lifestyles in actually generation is make us to know, to be aware more and more about the risk. We are in risk by walking, by eating food, by anything, and we have to do something to diminish this risk. And yoga practice could be such practice that could create for us the idea that we diminish the risk that we are involved in the current society. So we talk about the medicalization of social life, medicalization of society, that we consider the society is not healthy in general, and we need something to cure the society. And we try to give medicines, pills, or to do something else that could cure the society. And discursive categories that we find in this research is distrust in science. That many people who practice such practice like yoga or have a distrust in science, have an alienation from the nature, and from oneself. That is belief in traditional religions and spirituality, and search for a new alternative to the to integrative, to holistic spirituality, new religious movement, the secularization of yoga phenomena, and the pseudo-spiritualization of some practice by driving in a sport. Yoga become a cultural fashion. It's decontextualizing yoga and meditative practice. It's materialistic spirituality, we can say it like this. It's a new interpretation of yoga as magic. It's a magical practice, and it's a search for fantastic, for extraordinary, and it's an interpretative adrift from traditional meaning of yoga to sport practice or to health practice. The most important results are the social construction of trust in the health system as a whole. This practice could restore the trust because it's alternative practice, increase alternative health practice, including yoga and meditation, is due to distrust in medical science and the perception of distance from the nature and from the self-distancing. And the conclusion, the identity of yogi is in fact a social construct. It's constructed in between interaction between the practitioner and the rest of society in traditional culture, in contemporary culture, and so on. Belonging to yoga school represents an important element in the social construction of identity, of practitioner identity, and respect for individual autonomy is a key element in the formation of the social identity, especially for the yoga schools with a spiritual orientation. Thank you very much. If there is any questions?
Any reflections? So this is based on the grounded theory which you have evolved from the interviews and all.
Yes.
That's very nice. And how you will correlate? Yeah, sir.
Yeah. Thank you for your presentation. I'm curious in knowing how the tension between those that have. I'm curious in understanding the tension between some of the participants that you interrogated with who have spiritual orientation to yoga and those that have the secular orientation or the sport-like orientation to it, how they are able to resolve their differences. Maybe there are some points that they meet, and whether some might think, okay, my orientation is better than yours. Is there anything like that? Did you experience anything like that?
Yes, everybody thinks his own experience is better, but we try to make interview from the saturation of the model. So have interviewed the person that practice yoga for spirituality, they practice yoga for sport, for health, and something like this. So this was until the saturation of the model that is in grounded theory practice.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you also. And if someone is interested in other of my previous publication, here I have some articles, and if you want, my wife can give you such brochure.
Yeah,
Thank you very much.